What is up, Mets fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Mets'd podcast. Sweep. Not going to celebrate a sweep because that's what they should have done. That was everything that needed to be done. This White Sox team, again, I can't stress enough, is the worst team to ever probably have stepped on a baseball field, including the 1962 Mets. But hey, the Mets went out to Chicago, swept them, relatively easy series. Wasn't domination, wasn't smacking around like I would have preferred, but start to finish, Mets really were in control of this entire series. Not too much to talk about in these games because, again, we are playing a minor league baseball team, so can't really dive too deep into the numbers, but still a lot of really good stuff. We have a voicemail episode coming from you guys as well, so we're going to check the Instagram at some point throughout this episode, play your guys' voice notes out loud, and see what you have to say and respond to that. And otherwise, you know the drill. Thank you guys for listening and watching. Make sure you follow us on all our social media at Mets'd on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Subscribe to the Mets'd podcast YouTube channel if you want to see the video version of this. And if you are listening, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download, and subscribe. And also, happy Labor Day to everybody out there. Hope you're enjoying your days off. September has started, and the Mets right now are sitting 2 games out of the National League wild card. Again, it felt like there was, well, it's 1.5, I guess, technically, because the Braves-Phillies game hasn't happened yet. Yes. Let's go Phillies. Let's go Phillies. Can't stress that enough. But feeling pretty good after this weekend. I think that's exactly what the Mets and Mets fans needed, a nice sweep.
Yeah, badly. Just if you would have lost 8 games to this White Sox team, I think it would have been like a disaster because you have to beat this team 3 times. And the Mets didn't win these games particularly easily, which is weird to say because they only allowed 4 runs the whole weekend, but also just there was at least a moment in every game where I was like, this doesn't feel great. Starting with Tyler McGill when he started that game poorly on Friday, and I was like, this just literally can't be happening right now.
What was the text you sent me? I'm gonna pull it up real quick. The text that you sent me. Let's see.
Julie McGill, if you're listening to this, I'm really sorry. I was in the heat of the moment, and I started Tyler in a fantasy matchup that I really needed a good start. So
here it is.
Yeah, I got upset. Read the text.
McGill fucking sucks. I'm so tired of this pussy. And then about an hour later, 3 carrots and saying, I think I fixed him.
It's true. I think that was it. But he was he was good. Again, nothing matters because it was against the White Sox, but also it was good. He was good. Quintana Saturday, same. Totally fine. He was against the White Sox, but if I'm coming home for Jose Quintana, did he get a tribute in the video board?
I have no clue. I watched as little as possible of these games because the Chicago White Sox are genuine. That's unenjoyable baseball. Like, if you're a White Sox fan, I totally get not wanting to turn on TV. If you're a baseball fan, it is impossible to watch. There's almost not a single thing of interest with that entire team right now.
We had a B's on the G's moment from my buddy Sups in Chicago. I think might be sending a voicemail into this game. Lives out of Chicago, diehard Mets fan, diehard listener to the Mets'd podcast. After I think I've told the story the first time, I was like, hey, I got a podcast about the Mets. You should listen to it. He was like, bro, I don't need a fucking podcast. I watch all the games.
Oh, it's this guy?
Yeah, now he loves the show. But he said he went to the games on Saturday and Sunday, possibly Friday as well. But he said Sunday, he walked into the park, no one checked his ticket. He just walked into the stadium. No one said a word to him.
No one scanned it.
No one's can't just entered through the door. They're like, if you want to come, sure, get in here.
Feels dangerous. I don't know about that one. I mean,
Friday didn't have that bad of a crowd though, but it's just you could kind of feel like the I don't know, is it like sadness? It's just like there's such a horrible malaise over that franchise right now. It's terrible. It's a real shame what Jerry Reinsdorf has done to them because I'm not going to call them a proud organization, but they're at least an organization that has had a modicum of success sometimes, at least here and there in their franchise.
I mean, we do forget that they also had a 90, 80 year drought between the Black Sox and when they won in the mid 2000s. This Chicago, for some reason, just was cursed with baseball for about 90 years in total, which is kind of insane to think about that both teams were so insanely unsuccessful. But the White Sox are one of the original baseball teams. So for them to be as bad as they are, having their worst season ever. They've already lost more games than they've ever lost in a season, which is crazy because, again, this team has basically been playing baseball since the 1900s. This isn't like the Diamondbacks or the Rockies who have been around for 30 years, worst season they've had in their history. They've been around since the beginning of baseball, essentially. 1901. And they have the most losses ever in a franchise, and there's still a full month of baseball left. They're a strong fan base. They are good baseball fans, I think, out in Chicago, especially on the South Side with the White Sox. It is just a little bit of a travesty because I don't even know if they're not really tanking for a purpose. It's not like you're there's a Bryce Harper, there's a Steven Strasburg coming out in the draft next year. There's pretty much just, we're going to stink because we want to save money. And that's kind of the biggest problem, which is also confusing because then they did give Andrew Benintendi the biggest contract in franchise history to a free agent last year. Yeah. So they had one bad season, decide we're going to be as bad as we physically can be, and we're going to waste Luis Robert's most precious years ever.
I think it's more of they knew how far away they were after the last few years. It didn't work out. So they were like, instead of just staying in the middle like we've tried to do for a while now, let's just literally gut this entire thing, reset this entire thing. They probably have 7 or 8 major league players in the entire 40-man roster. They made all those weird trades in the offseason to try and just acquire volume to fill out.
Which was bad.
Yeah, their roster spots. You guys like Brandon Shoemake and who else they get here? Soroka. Miguel Vargas, they got that Jacob Amaya. Like they've been pulling guys from other teams who like maybe they can give us something that they didn't give that team. And it's kind of embarrassing, especially considering they've been a franchise for 120 years. They play in the second biggest metropolitan area in the entire country. They almost do have also a weird like Midwest Mets feel. Because like relative to the Cubs, I think they're not the most beloved team in their city. And they've also done the thing the Mets have done a lot in their history where like, oh, let's get the old veteran. Let's get him on this team. Let's have him play the last 3 years of his career poorly for us and say we have a star. And also, these two teams will always be intertwined because Tom Seaver won his 300th game as a member of the White Sox in Yankee Stadium, which is one of the most fucked up stats in the history of baseball. But there's always that feeling here. But again, just thank the Lord above that the Mets were able to take these 3 games because we needed them so badly.
Yeah, desperately needed them badly. It's nice to see that the Padres looked human a little bit. They lost a game or two to the Rays. One game to the Rays. The Diamondbacks have been getting beat by the Dodgers, which is nice. Although today I think they smacked the Dodgers around, which that's going to happen. Yin and yang, a little baseball. And hopefully the Phillies can take care of the Braves and take another one off of them, which would be so big. Put us a game out going into our series against the Red Sox on Monday, the day you guys are listening to this. But end of the day, this was a series, like we said, that had to be won, should be won, was won. And start to finish, they did just kind of take care of business as little as possible, if that makes sense. But they did get the job done. Like in game 1 with McGill on the mound, offensively, JD Martinez, a home run, huge for us. Jesse Winker, I want to talk about a little bit too. He's been phenomenal. He's really starting to look comfortable in this lineup.
At the plate.
Yeah, at the plate. I mean, in the field, he's never been great. Who cares? Don't matter. If he hits like this, it's fine. The one thing that I think we do need to talk about is Mendoza's use, though, of what he does with Winker / Tyrone Taylor or whoever's else going to fill in for him. We gave him a little bit of crap the last episode about hitting Tyrone Taylor 5th, hitting Starling Marte early in the lineup, if you're going to take him out of the game as early for defense. Now, on the flip side here, he's been pulling Jesse Winker, I think, too early from games. He's been pulling him like in the 5th or 6th inning of like a 2-run game. It's bizarre.
On Sunday, he put him in the game in the 4th inning when Crochet came out for Tyrone Taylor. It's just funny how quick and jumpy these outfielders. But I think a big part of it is that he does want to keep every single guy warm. He wants to keep every single guy in the game as many consecutive days as possible. Like I don't think he wants any of these guys to have a day where they just sit the whole time. Like Mendoza, I think something he does well, other managers do poorly, is he uses that bench. Like you have the bench, you use the guys, do that.
Pablo Reyes today.
Yeah, there you go. Scoring that big run from first on the double. After actually a pretty nice play by Luis Robert off the wall. But it's a little too active in the game. It's a little bit too anxious, trying to do every single thing he has to do, Mendoza. It's like gets a little ahead of himself sometimes.
Tyrone Taylor, I think in game 2, came up with an opportunity on Saturday where it was like, I think 5 or 3-1 at the time, 1st and 3rd. Jesse Winker's spot would have been up, but it was Tyrone Taylor instead. Tyrone Taylor struck out. Love Tyrone. Great ball player. We know that. But it would have been nice to have Jesse Winker up, especially because it's still early enough in the game where I don't think his defense is going to make that much of an impact where his bat can. So yeah. I didn't love that. Again, the Mets won, so we're just kind of
nitpicking,
nitpicking a little bit, things to keep an eye out for. Also, shout out to the bullpen. Again, not awesome. A good lineup, but they did a really good job on game 1 or game 2. Game 2, no walks out of the bullpen, which is phenomenal.
Same with game 1.
Yeah, same with game 1, which was incredible. Just no walks from the bullpen. And then even on Sunday, no walks from the bullpen. The bullpen did not have a single walk in this series. Again, it's the White Sox, everything with a grain of salt, but a lot of times in baseball, these things are mental, these things are vibes-wise. We saw how that changed for the Mets after Jorge Lopez got kicked out, and they really started to just change things up a little bit here. Maybe this can just be something that pushes the Mets forward. Reed Garrett had 2 good outings. Like, that's so big, I think, for his mental game, just knowing, like, I still got it a little bit. Edwin Diaz looked really good on Sunday, dominant.
Friday, just dominant too.
All things to build on, which is good because we do have some big series, again, continuing to come up.
Yeah, the Friday situation with Edwin Diaz I thought was funny, and I think you and I and probably some other Mets fans were, to be nice, like we're confused about it in the moment because Edwin Diaz came into this game for his 3rd game in 3 days after blowing the save on Wednesday against the Diamondbacks, grabbing the save on Thursday against the Diamondbacks, and then pitching this game where the Mets score the run, made the 4-run game in the 9th inning. So then The downside, just a conversation about this where it doesn't make any sense. This was the first time Edwin's been used in 3 consecutive games this entire year. The first time that's happened since it was either June or July of 2022. So even when he was at his absolute best in 2022 and the team was ripping down the stretch trying to do everything they could to make the playoffs, again, probably some wrong decisions were made there by people who were making them, but they never called on Edwin once that whole second half of that year to work 3 straight days. So this is the first time doing that. And I do think that now the flip side, that the positive is I think that some of this was about Edwin staying in rhythm, because apparently they've said that something that hurt him in those 2 outings was that there were a lot of times in the few weeks before where Edwin got hot, was ready to come in, and then sat back down because the Mets scored runs. That happened this game. The Mets were only up by 3. They scored 1 run in the 9th inning. He'd gotten hot, so they're just like, yeah, put him in. Keep him on rhythm. Keep his routine intact. And the same thing happened. Not the same thing happened, but he looked dominant in that outing. And then he came in at only on 1 day of rest after 3 consecutive outings and looked not as good, but still quite good again on Sunday. So I think this probably is a thing with Edwin where I didn't love it in a vacuum, that they were like, let's use him for 3 straight times, the first time in 19 months. But you flip that back and you're like, okay, maybe it's more about him being in rhythm, him saying this will help me be better in the future if I do this, even though you guys might think it's weird.
Yeah, after the performance on Friday night that's kind of what it felt like in retrospect. Like looking back, it had to be an Edwin Diaz thing. It had to be something that they've spoken about. Like, you've got to use me. You've got to use me. And to be fair, on Sunday, one of his sharper outings. So maybe there is something to Edwin Diaz staying warm, staying sharp, being on top of it like that.
I didn't think Sunday was one of his sharp rounds. I think there were a lot of pitches outside the strike zone. He threw
but like he was getting them to chase though. So
true. He just had some really convenient misses because he was still missing arm side, which is something that we've talked about with him when the mechanics aren't right. But he was just missing arm side at guys' eyes, and then he was throwing those sliders darting low and away. So I think it was just really good. That was effectively wild. Friday too, he was nine fastballs and 1 slider to piggyback on the outing from Thursday where he wasn't throwing many sliders again. He went back to the slider on Sunday, which I think that might have been the best the slider looked all year. I'll give you that one, but I still think, I don't know, it's still a tread lightly situation with Edwin, but it feels better than it did 1 week ago for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. And something that we need to see moving forward. We need Edwin Diaz to be lights out, and hopefully using him more helps him because he definitely had some crazy time in between.
Can I be an asshole?
Yes.
I'm going to talk about Tyler McGill.
What do you want to talk about?
He did change one thing. I just got to do it.
Okay. No, that's not being an asshole then. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. And when he went to the minor leagues, I'm just like me being an asshole because I'm going to tell people a reason to get like 2% excited about Tyler McGill again. Because one day he's going to have a good season. It might not be for the Mets, but I'm telling you, one day this guy's going to be good somehow, some way. So, yeah, Brewers, Tigers, Dodgers, Astros, Mariners, Orioles, somewhere, somehow, some way, 1 year he's going to be like, Tyler McGill, he always had it in him. But he went back and started working a lot, apparently, in his 2-seamer when he went to AAA. And he came back up and used that 2-seamer a lot. And like you love, especially against the righties in this one, every single one was in their hands. He only gave, I think, 3 or 4 hard hit balls the whole game. It was the fact that he was able to command a pitch that he's really started to work into his repertoire more recently. I thought was really, was a big deal. And I think that if he does have to pitch again next time out, because I know that's the day that Paul Blackburn's eligible, the next start against the Reds that's coming this week. I think it's Friday. Saturday, Thursday, whenever it is. I don't know. Might not be the worst thing in the world. Because I mean, I'd like to see him face a Major League Baseball team with that 2-seamer, but it was just a nice wrinkle for a guy that seems really like he's trying to keep that pitch count lower and get some weak contact.
Good, which is always something that we've talked about with McGill. He needs to attack more. He needs to get some of those easy outs because it feels like him and even Peterson, who that's been a big thing that he's changed too.
Yeah.
Being more aggressive in the zone, getting the soft contact has been huge for Peterson. Hopefully McGill can follow in his shoes. What else is there to talk about here on the pitching side? Huáscar Brazoban still scares the shit out of me when he steps on the mound.
I mean, on the pitching side, it's Sean Manaea being like an actual legitimate ace, which is something that has happened and it's been happening. And now it keeps happening. It's like, holy fucking shit, like this is actually happening.
He's going to make a lot of money. He really is.
He's going to make $100 million. Like Sean Manaea is going to make $100 million because of what Jeremy Hefner and the Mets have done to him, which is nice.
What's the pitching free agent class next year? I know it's Corbin, right? Corbin Burns is the big one.
Corbin, Fried,
Kershaw, I think technically.
Yeah, but that's not real.
Okay, I got the names for you. I got the names for you. So for unrestricted free agents that are starting pitchers next year, and again, this is great for Sean Manaea, not great for the Mets. It's going to be Verlander, Scherzer, Corbin, Charlie Morton, Corbin Burns, Max Fried, Jack Flaherty, Kyle Hendricks, Shane Bieber, Jose Quintana, Severino, a lot of our guys, Kikuchi, Desclafani, Andrew Heaney. Manaea is going to clean up because he's one of the best, and he also isn't 100 years old.
It's him and Kikuchi in that tier below like the Fried and Corbin Burns, which is kind of hilarious. But again, like you said a few episodes ago, like we talked about, it's a great stamp of approval on the Mets. We are now the rehabilitation home for pitchers seeking a 1-year deal who think they're better.
It's going to be Shane Bieber next year.
Walker Buehler.
Walker Buehler, Shane Bieber,
Bieber got the Tommy John in April or May, so he might miss most of next year. It's going to be Walker Buehler next year. I'm going to put my stamp on it right now. Walker Buehler's going to sign a 1-year, $15 million contract to come join the Mets.
You know who else is a free agent?
Who?
Your boy.
Who?
Nick Pivetta.
Oh, I give him a bag. That guy's awesome. I'm here. You guys are going to be insufferable asking for Nick Pivetta in the offseason. But Jerry Blevins talked a lot in the end of the post game on Sunday about Manaea dropping that arm slot, helping him get more rising action, that two-seamer, like we've talked about a few episodes ago, and that adds deception to both the sweeper and the changeup because they're able to. I didn't really understand what he was saying. Whatever, he was just having how they all getting that release point lower. He said help those pitches tunnel off of one another, and it got more deception on him.
I'm going to send you a video. I don't know if you saw it, but Trevor May was breaking down why Josh Hader's two-seamer is like so insanely disgusting.
Oh, I have watched that one.
Yeah, and it's talking about like the horseshoe movement and basically how it gives an appearance that's wobbling along with rising. Wake. Yeah, which might be what is Manaea doing that too?
Manaea said before the game, talking to the guys, that he's been trying to get more seam shifted wake on those pitches. And so I guess the low release point probably helped him do that. And again, seam shifted wake just as I don't understand it super. It's something that's way out there, but it's something it's like, again, like Mark just said, it makes the ball wobble as it comes through. So so it's spinning, but the fact that it's wobbling, it's getting movement that's not exactly spin related.
Yeah, because relatively, like when you're looking at a baseball, I wish I had one. Oh, I do have one around me. Let me grab it real quick.
Yeah, grab the baseball.
3 hours later.
For those of you watching on YouTube, for those of you not, bad for you, sorry. But like with a four seam, the way that spins out of your hand, it's going to spin this way. There is a pattern you see, even though it's spinning so fast. There is still something that you can tell, and it's going to be like this C, this kind of horseshoe kind of thing. When you're throwing the two seamer, you see a different pattern, and it's a different look. That's why the ball moves differently. What they're saying with Hader, at least in this video, is because of the way that he throws it and because of how much spin he gets, there's this appearance of a wobble that the way the ball is moving, and it makes it kind of almost flutter and dance a little bit while getting that rising action and coming in on you if you're a left-handed hitter, which makes it so hard to track and hit.
And another way to kind of simply put it is that it makes a two-seamer kind of act like a four-seamer.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this a lot with Tyler Rogers, weirdly, how he goes underhanded with the slider and it makes the slider rise and the fastball drop, which is kind of funny. But all these things together have turned Manaea into legitimately a guy that is going to get down ballot Cy Young votes. He's doing right now in the second half and just like since the end of June, really, what Kodai Senga did last year, and he got all this critical acclaim. Like, this is how good Manaea has been. His ERA is down to 3.35, which is stupid. And this is my favorite stat because this is the pure James Jinx stat of the day. But when June ended, Sean Manaea had not completed 7 innings in a start in like a year and a half, or maybe he did it once with the Giants or twice with the Giants. Since July 1st, he's done it 7 times in 12 starts. That's the most in baseball. He's become one of the league's true workhorses. You can't even make that shit up. Like we pushed that one right into existence, and it's amazing. And Carlos Mendoza said after the game, he's like, I see Manaea as our one now. He is our ace. He's pitching that way. He's earned that right.
Yeah, he's been incredible. I mean, the whip is under 1 in his last 15 starts. His last 7 starts, 0.78 whip, a 2.42 ERA, 44 and 2/3 innings, and 7 starts with 53 strikeouts, 9 walks. That right there, the 9 walks to strikeouts is just like, that sex.
Especially when that was his problem before. Like, it was a lot of walks and strikeouts and it caused these shorter outings so his pitch count go up. Now the fact that he's being more aggressive, he's getting more swings and misses in that two-seamer, he's not as afraid to throw that in the zone because hitters aren't going to be able to hit it. He's a whole new pitcher. It's just It's amazing what he's done, and again, it's got to be hats off to Jeremy Hefner for this one. I don't know where everyone's at, but why they hate this guy.
Yeah, if anybody is a doubter of him, this right here, look at what he's doing. He's turned Sean Manaea into what everybody thought Sean Manaea could have been at some point in his earlier career. No one thought
but this is what he could be. This is nonsense.
No, I'm not saying with the Mets. I'm saying like when Sean Manaea was coming up, people were like, this could be a future frontline starter. He's now hitting that stride thanks to Jeremy Hefner, and I can't wait to see what's going to go on there because he's been incredible, and I hope he keeps pitching as well as he has. The Mets really need it. Need it.
Totally. I got some other just silly stats from this series. JD Martinez, I think, is swinging the bat a lot better. He said he's heating up. He still doesn't feel like he's hot yet. But from May 6th to July 1st, he only had 2 off days as the Mets were on that run playing well. But he was playing bad, then playing well. But it seemed like he kind of fell off a little bit after that stretch and he got tired. He's got 4 off days in his last 28 games alone. His last 28 Mets games alone, and now he's starting to hit better again. So I think it's nice that he's getting those breaks and doing that. And also Lindor hit the big home run on Sunday. The only run scored in this game until the top of the 9th inning. 30 game on base streak, got his new career high with the home run Sunday, and he has a hit in 27 of those 30 games.
He is he's pretty incredible. I think he's on a 12-game hit streak now as well, inside that 30 base on game streak. And how great is this? On MLB.com, we can get his live stats for the last 30 games. 7 homers, 17 RBIs, 320 average, 365 on base, 570 slugging. For those of you at home, that's an OPS in the 900s. Oh, yeah, and he plays Gold Glove defense. I mean, he is just he's everything. I love him.
And this is like one of my favorite stats in the world. Right now, he has a higher WRC plus than either of his huge big years in 2018 or 2019. Because in those years, the ball was bullshit and the league was bullshit. And that's why we have to give Jacob deGrom all the credit in the world for what he did pitching in those 2 years. However, right now, in terms of league context, this is the best Francisco Lindor has ever hit in his entire career.
September 1st, 29 homers, 80 RBIs, 25 stolen bases, 831 OPS. That is literally higher than his average slash line OPS. He's having the best year of his career. James, you called it months ago.
I told you, because it was happening. He's been locked in since, and I just pray to God this team is good enough, and maybe Shohei winds up 48, 49, so he doesn't have that clean 50-50 number to get, so we can get Lindor an MVP.
Did you hear the story about Lindor and the smile stuff with him and why? He apparently does once a month. He brings in at-risk youth, I guess, into Citi Field or wherever he does it to give almost like a lesson about how important dental health is.
Stop.
Lindor's a big dental health guy, and apparently
you're not a dental health guy.
I care about dental health. I think dentists and orthodontists are overrated, but I care about brush your teeth every day. Take care of them. I just don't think you need to go every 6 months to have a dentist tell you, "Oh, I'm going to clean your teeth," and then go, "You have no cavities. Give me money." I think that's where they're a scam. But
I can't wait till we have the dentists and orthodontists listen to the show. They're now anti-markers.
You think, oh, super. That's fine. You know, that's fine. I'm glad with dentists being anti-mark. You can like James, still like the podcast. You can hate me. But end of the day, where was I going with the story? Wrapping it up. Lindor was super self-conscious, had really bad teeth as a kid, and I guess had braces kind of late in his life growing up. So he hated smiling because he hated the braces. His teeth were all janked up. As we know now, gorgeous smile, great teeth on him. I think everybody can agree. It's literally his nickname, Mr. Smile. So they were telling a story about how ironic it is that Francisco Lindor hated smiling as a kid because he had bad teeth, didn't really take care of them for a while, and now that's what he's known for, is having one of the best smiles in baseball.
I love that. I mean, that's just one of the most beautiful things about baseball in this wonderful game. You could put all that together and help the people.
All right, you want to let's pick a voicemail right now. Let's start some voicemails.
I want to do one more dumb stat about this series and then move on.
I was going to say, because what if they ask the question and that dumb stat could come into the question?
There's no way this comes in, but this is a personal hill I like to die on. You know, I like to die on this hill for a long time. That the stat line drive rate is poppycock. It's baloney.
It's bad.
It's complete bullshit because Gary dropped a quote in the series. Is a lot of credit to Gary and Ron this series doing anything they can to give the White Sox anything to talk about. Also amazing. Did you see the spider walk across the camera on Friday before the Tyrone Taylor?
I was on a flight.
Oh yeah. So in the first or second inning, a spider walked across the camera lens for SNY.
Whoa.
Bizarre. And the spider was hanging out in the camera lens where on the camera it looked like it was all the way down the right field line, which is exactly where in like the 6th or 7th inning of this game, Tyrone Taylor made the exact catch, Spider-Manning in the net that Jeff McNeil made same time of year in 2019 and did the same thing where the spider was standing on the camera.
Do they have fences or the netting further down than most teams? Because I swear I've never seen anybody do these catches except the Mets players in Chicago.
It's looser, too. It's a nice net. But back to the point, Gary said that Gavin Sheets has the highest line drive rate in baseball, which should tell everybody forever that line drive rate is a fake stat that should never be cited ever.
Technically, hard ground balls that like one hop second base, I think count as line drives, right?
I think they do it if it's over 10 degrees launch angle and less than like 27 degrees launch angle, or something like that.
You could hit topspin 10 degrees and that could be a ground ball. Yeah.
Yeah. And Gary and Ron were also talking shit about launch angle because they were saying if someone because they did the thing that like I think a lot of people have realized, which average launch angle also is not a real stat because
correct.
If you have hit a pop-up 60 degrees and a ground ball 0 degrees, it comes out to 30 degrees. 30 degrees is amazing. 16 0 both horrible. So I think just a dumb stat. A couple dumb stats there.
All right, pull out your phone because you got the better mic for me this episode here. And I'm going to say, let's start off with Jack. Jack, I think he was the first one that gave us a message, and he said, let's go Lewiner. So he's ready to roll on this one.
Okay, I'm doing it right now. Load him up.
Good podcasting.
Jack. Is he in the...
General. He's in general.
General. Okay, he's in general. Wow, we have a bunch here. Nice.
Yeah, we got some good ones. So let's see what Jack's got to say.
All right, here we go, Jack.
What's up, Lewiner and Jeter had no range. Great series in Chicago. All I got to say is the Mets are back. Absolutely no doubt. Jesse Winker's a stud. Phil Maton's looking like Trevor Hoffman coming out of the bullpen. You got guys left and right coming up big. Reed Garrett's splitter looks good. You got Christian Scott throwing bullpens. Maybe Senga's coming back for the Braves series. That would be big. I know everyone's fixated on the Braves right now, but I'm looking at the D-backs. Their schedule for the next month is pretty rough. I know they're smoking the Dodgers right now, but who cares about that? The Dodgers are frauds as well. And, if we have a really good homestand here, I might be ready to say the forbidden phrase that the Mets are winning it all. But we'll have to see. LFGM, love what you guys do over there.
All right, well, Jack brought the heat.
Jack brought the heat. Thank you. He said two things I will not say this year. The first one about the Mets being something, and the second one about the Mets winning something. Those will not come out of my mouth this year. I've not said it now. We're in September. I haven't said it yet. I've refused to because it feels like that's going to be the kiss of death. Jack said it, not us. But yeah, he was right. I mean, Maton looked really good too. He's been great in the bullpen since we picked him up, and Reed Garrett's splitter was working. Now, I don't know if that's also because the White Sox have bad hitters and they were able to chase it more because they stink, but we'll take it for what it is. And he's right. Look ahead to the Diamondbacks. We want to push multiple teams out of here. Just keep winning baseball games. Hope they start to lose, which they definitely can.
I see we have another request, but I can't find it. See if you can go on the Instagram and find it. But I'm going to do one from our guy, Brandon, who has been trying to get in this voicemail for a little while now. So Brandon's voicemail coming at you.
This was a very, very big series for us. We had to win this. I'm glad we swept. Now we go home and we have to take care of business against the Red Sox and the Reds. This is critical for us to win. We can get in if we keep winning, but everyone needs to step up. I think Pete had a pretty good series. Lindor, I love the MVP chance. It's fucking great. And other than that, I think Nimmo had okay series, but I think he could be better. I think he's playing hurt. But LFGM, this is the best podcast. I love you guys, and let's fucking go Mets.
Let's fucking go Mets. Thanks, Brandon.
Let's fucking go Mets, Brandon.
It's funny. This is kind of like sports radio, but with some curses. We maybe should give like a directive next voicemail. Tell people to ask a question or come with something ready to go because we don't screen these beforehand. Because we want to be surprised along with you guys. So I'm just gonna pick another random one.
Wait, dude, hold on. What? It's also funny. You can tell who listens to New York's talk radio, like sports radio, and who doesn't because they all do the same pauses that all these guys do. Where it's like, say something, 3 seconds, let you sit. Here's my next thought. Like they just, and you're a WFAN guy, I know, so you know that well. But I've been watching some old clips of just Francesa or Don LaGreca like freaking out, like doing their nonsense thing. And it is so funny that all these guys at the end of the day do all just keep the same cadence with different voices and accents.
Yeah, right. All right, we got another one coming here from Jason.
What's up, guys? Love the pod. I think this is your best season yet, maybe for obvious reasons. But anyway, I've been listening for a couple of years. And I think it's great. So very much appreciate it. Anyway, my question is a bit open-ended. It's about Mendoza. I think he's been fantastic with the lineup. I've loved his flexibility and his willingness to shake the lineup up in ways that especially guys like Buck have not been in the past. But having said that, his bullpen management, to me, leaves a good amount to be desired. It feels like he's always pulling guys early or pulling them too late or not giving relievers clean innings and, maybe overusing guys. And even Nunez coming back from the IL, he then gives him 2 innings for some reason, and then he gets hurt again. So I know that you guys love him. So I'd love to hear the argument that you guys have in defense of him all around, not just with regards to the lineup, but also with regards to the bullpen. Also, I'd like to hear why you guys hate Gelb so much, but if you don't answer that part, it's all right. Anyway, I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
I'll answer Gelb's really quickly.
Yeah.
There's no actual real hatred for him. Like, he's a nice guy or whatever. It's just that when we worked with the team and we were on the field, everybody else would say hello. He never once looked at us and said hello. That's really it.
Yeah, everyone was really friendly. There was one moment at spring training when we were there last year where I was standing talking to Will Salmon. Shout out Will Salmon of The Athletic. Great guy, great reporter, big Mets fan.
Will.
Will's awesome. Does amazing work. And me and him were just like talking in a conversation. We're talking about the roster, Pete or something. And Steve stands like in front of me and asks Will something and then just walks away and like doesn't even acknowledge that we were in the middle of a conversation. I was like, all right, I think this guy's just a kind of, he's I don't know. He's got a little pompous flair about him.
I mean, the guys on SNY, the last few people I've had that have gone into great things. So I think he probably just thought he's a little bit above us. Again, we've never actually spoke to the guy because it seemed like he wanted nothing to ever do with us and looked the other way anytime we were in the same room. But whatever, he's fine. There's no like actual real hatred outside of like it's a fun.
Now it's a bit.
Yeah, now it's like if anybody calls it Moonface, we know it comes from us. Like that's great.
And that's also a nice thing we'd like to do with you guys, like keep these little things going together. But then back to Jason's question about Mendoza. I don't think we like love Mendoza and think Mendoza's like unfallible. I just think that in terms of like what you can do from a modern manager, I think the most important things for sure in the game right now, people could disagree with me on this, are vibes. Like you need to be able to be a babysitter of 26 millionaires and like maybe 17 millionaires and a couple other 100,000aires and like try to manage all of the egos and manage everyone's likes and dislikes and idiosyncrasies. I think he does that super, super well. I do think he gets into a little trouble sometimes with some roster stuff, which is the lineup stuff we were talking about before, not the lineup stuff, the substitution stuff, and then once in a while the bullpen stuff. But the other side of that is the bullpen fucking sucks. So it's hard for him to like really find a perfect path forward always.
And I'm gonna defend Buck here. Get ready for this. I'm gonna defend him. The team that he had in 2022 was just so much more complete. So there wasn't a necessity to have to make moves as much as this Mets roster does. Like you kind of knew what the bullpen was going to look like. You knew what the situation was. You knew what the lineup was every single day. This Mets lineup, while it's fantastic, they hit really well. Part of the reason why I think it's worked has been because they've been very fluid in where they are and playing the matchups. And like you said, with the bullpen, if we had a 7th inning guy, if we had an 8th inning guy, Edwin Diaz was lights out. That's it. I'm sure Carlos Mendoza would love to be like, oh my God, it's the 7th inning. I know exactly what I'm doing. But the bullpen's been so bad that I think he's just trying to find the right button to push at the time. And when that happens, sometimes you're going to be wrong, sometimes you're going to be right. But yeah, for a first season, incredibly impressed with him. I think that's kind of where we stand right now. Like you said, not infallible, but definitely doing a really good job with what the Mets have been able to do.
Totally. Next voicemail from, I think, one of our younger listeners, Theo.
All right, Theo.
What's up, Mark and James? How you
Maybe
doing?
not younger.
James may know me. Theo, I Mets on Twitter. I know I DM you a lot and you never respond. It was a great series out there in Chicago. Of course, you would have preferred to not use Edwin twice in that series, but I guess you just gotta keep him sharp with how little he's been pitching. And I just want to know what you guys are thinking with Nimmo, because, you know, when you look at his Savant page, he actually has a higher BRV than Francisco Lindor, but the success just hasn't been there. So I was, kind of looking for your input there. Maybe it's something with the approach that he's taking, or is it Eric Chavez telling him to hit more singles? Not.
I cut off.
We got 10 more seconds of.
I really love the podcast. I've been listening for a while. If you do end up listening to this voicemail, thanks. Love you guys so much. James, follow me on Twitter.
Theo, sorry for not getting to the DMs. My DMs were very open for a very long time, and now there's just I love it because a lot of you guys like ask me things, want to talk about the Mets all the time, but I have so many DMs in my inbox right now.
Hollywood James, it's happening.
Once in a while, I just can't get through them all. I'm just like,
uh-oh.
No, it's bad.
Man of the people.
I'm still man of the people. I still get to a lot of them, but there's just some. Like he messaged me like 8 hours ago. I sent him one back. I haven't sent him one back since it's been at the end of July. So, you know what? 1 month I didn't answer. I'm sorry, Theo, but it's hard sometimes. But about Nimmo, it does feel like it's kind of injury related.
I think it's injury related.
Theo asked us about BRV, which is Baseball Savant's base running value, which is value they give
base running or batting value.
I guess it's batting. I get they're both BRV.
One's probably BSV, maybe.
I'm sure he's talking about batting. I think what Savant will do is they'll give you a lot more credit because, especially for a guy like Nimmo, who still hits the ball hard consistently over the full year, is what it says. These are all full year stats. He still doesn't chase very much compared to the average hitter. He doesn't whiff. He whiffs at a league average rate. He walks a ton. Like that's all stuff that batting run value will give you credit for in Savant. And these were a lot of things Nimmo did really, really well in the first half when he was really, really good, but he's not been that good as good recently. His power's dipped over the last month. He's been chasing more. He's been whiffing more over the last month. It's not that good. Post All-Star break, he's a 188 hitter with a 579 OPS with 2 home runs versus 16 pre-All-Star break.
Yeah, no, I was going to bring up those numbers. I think I talked about it on the podcast before. DeRosa did a really good breakdown of why Brandon Nimmo was having that breakout that we saw earlier in the year. And it was because he was keeping that front shoulder in. And ever since he's He's made a couple weird, awkward diving plays. He had a couple rollovers. He had that weird slide at home plate where we thought he got hurt. Ever since then, it seems like he's flying open a lot more. When you fly open, you just don't have the same punch on the ball. The pitch has to be on the inside corner, basically, for him to hit it hard. And he's just not making the same damage. And now, because he's not doing the same damage, he's probably pressing and being a little bit more aggressive and going outside the zone a little more than he's used to. I think it's just a combination of everything. And I think it does all come back to probably not being 100%. Remember, Brandon Nimmo's been a guy who really has never actually played like a full season too often. He usually does have some nicks and bruises throughout the year, and we've even seen it this season. But I respect the fact that he's playing through it, and hopefully it gets better. Again, we have no reason to believe that there is any injury outside of the fact that he's just got ice cold, and especially on the power side, there's nothing there when it looked like he just figured out how to hit for power for the first time.
I also, you just made that comment about him not playing a full season. He's played at least 150 games in 2 straight years, and this year he's tracking to do that again. So he has been a full season guy recently. It's kind of like Trey Turner, where, oh my God, this guy's so injury prone. And you wake up one day, it's like, oh, but this guy plays every single game suddenly. And I think sometimes as fans or like content creators, analysts, whatever it is, fantasy baseball players, we sometimes can conflate a guy sucking or being cold with a guy actually playing through injuries. I think it just came out recently that Ke'Bryan Hayes, who's been one of the worst hitters in baseball this year, spent the entire season with a herniated disc in his back.
Yeah,
that doesn't seem very fun. I'm trying to think of other examples the last few years, but some are.
Well, do you remember when J-Ray got really cold to end the year one year, and it was because he had a broken hamate bone in his hand?
Remember last year, Francisco Lindor? Again, he was great, but he played the whole year with bone spurs in his elbow, and he had to it took him a month to figure out how to manage that pain. So I think these guys deal with a lot more than we realize, and I think that's an important part of baseball and just sports in general, just humanity in general. Just give these guys a break sometimes, but I don't see any way this really gets a lot better anytime soon. He has been trending up for the last like 2 weeks or so, which might tell us something from how as bad as he was this year. But I'm not holding my breath waiting for Brandon Nimmo to save this team. I think this comes down to Lindor, Alonso, JD Martinez, Jesse Winker, Starling Marte, the rest of the bats in the lineup.
Yeah, really hope he turns it around, but we've been okay without him. It's only going to be a plus when he comes back.
Yep. Let's see. You want to do a couple more?
Yeah, you know what? We asked for him. We're 35 minutes in. We have nothing else to talk about outside of these voicemails and previewing the Red Sox series. So let's get the people their voice heard.
All right. We got George.
Mark, James, longtime listener. Thank you guys for doing this. I've been drinking like 30 eggs a day for about 2 weeks now. You know, trying to get my fastball velos up. I have no reason to throw 100 miles an hour, but if that's all it takes, and I've been doing it, you know.
Wait.
Oh, that's it?
And then a real question. I was wondering what you guys were thinking as far as pitching in regard to Christian Scott and Kodai Senga. I know that there is some hope that they could be back by the end of September, but is that something we should realistically be looking out for? And I don't know do you know of any AAA arms that could come up like Lucchese or anyone else? Thanks.
All right. So first, shout out Ryan Lambert, called up to Brooklyn, our boy.
Yes, that's
called
the guy.
up to Brooklyn, which is fantastic news. That is
straight away. Skip St. Lucie.
Way ahead of schedule. And shout out to him as well. Shot him a text. I was like, congrats on it. He's like, let's fucking go. The dude's just a vibe. He's such a dog. I hope he does well.
I love him. We can't wait for it. But then in terms of Christian Scott, from what the Mets have been saying, I think Stearns and Mendoza have talked about it a little bit. He's throwing these bullpens. It seems like if he comes back, which is definitely still not a guaranteed thing, it very likely will be in a relief role. I can't see him throwing more than 30 or 40 pitches in an outing because basically he's done this. Which is fucking great right now. Oh my God, that would be amazing because 2 years in a row now, he's dealt with this elbow thing around the same time of year after both times getting to new career highs and workload. So it seems like they really have to be careful with him because if something in there snaps, you guys won't even hear from me for a few days. I'll go into a hole, I'll crawl into the corner of my closet and cry in the dark. But I think that's kind of exactly what this Mets team needs right now. I'm not saying they don't need another starter, but I can't see Kodai coming back until at best the last week of the regular season because that calf injury also doesn't seem like a joke at all. But if they can still just get by with a combination of Blackburn and McGill, because I do think that do we get officially a guy on the roster today, a pitcher with the roster?
Yeah, we did. We got
was Danny Young or Alex?
Yeah,
Young?
It was Alex Young. Young.
So again, I think it's more of continuing to get through the hodgepodge of the 40 man rather than like a guy who's going to come up, be an impact guy. But I think it's going to keep them doing that. I think McGill is going to get another shot, maybe at some point too, stay on this roster, maybe do another abbreviated stint, anything to help the team win. But it's going to be more of the same in the last month with pitching rather than new stuff. And I think a lot of Mets fans thought there was going to be something new coming last week because Taylor Rogers was put on waivers and he went totally unclaimed. I think a lot of people, I saw Diamondbacks fans are upset about it. I saw some Dodgers fans are upset about it. I think that when these guys get put on waivers this time of year, because basically all these guys just came through and almost no one was claimed. What the Angels did last year was unique, which is they put a lot of guys who had 1-year deals on waivers, so it was free to sign them. Taylor Rogers was due, I believe it was $13 million guaranteed in 2025 if a team would have claimed him right now and paid the prorated 2024 salary, which wouldn't have been very much. But I don't think that the Mets, or clearly anybody else in baseball, wants to be on the hook for an aging reliever for $14 million in 2025. It's just too much money for a reliever. I'd rather go try and get the next Ednel Nunez than lock in one reliever for that much money.
Definitely. And yeah, with the starting pitching, Blackburn's coming back. I think that's the option.
I mean, again, also for Mets fans who might be like, doesn't matter, we need them right now. Think about the contracts we gave to Sean Manaea and Luis Severino.
Yeah.
These guys make the money that you'd be giving Taylor Rogers next year. It's a no-brainer not to take that money on. Sadly.
Correct. Some of those guys throw 5 innings at worst. They throw 5 innings. This guy throws 1. Like it is a no-brainer whatsoever. But thank you for chiming in there, George. Appreciate it.
Now we got Evan.
Shout out to listening to the Lambert interview.
Yeah, shout out to listening to the Lambert interview. Shout out to everybody listening to the interview because it's a great pick. Because Lambert, he's the Eggman. I love it.
Hey guys, this is Evan, lifelong Mets fan. Definitely enjoyed listening to you guys. I'm a bit of a newbie, but it's definitely good stuff.
So welcome.
So good to see the Mets get a little closer to Atlanta yesterday. Hopefully the Phillies can take care of business again this evening and get the Mets even closer. Random thought, I don't think I ever thought around how the Mets starting pitching is starting to come into form. It's always been something that's been hot and cold this year, but honestly, if Senga can get back, this idea of a Senga, Severino, Peterson, Manaea, 4-man rotation. I don't know, we'll deal with the 5-man thing. But regardless, that's pretty solid. I like that going into a playoff scenario for the Mets. So, still got to figure out the shaky bullpen, but interesting how that's kind of come together.
The one thing I'll say is it's so funny that all Mets fans are drinking the same Kool-Aid right now, which is if Senga comes back, man, oh my, if he can be back for that Brave series, I'm sure James is gonna match my same opinion here. Just take it as if he's not coming back. Take it as if he's out for the year and be surprised, be excited if anything else happens. But I think this is PTSD, Jacob deGrom, every single guy that what are you doing over there?
I was switching to Instagram to load more requests, and I clicked onto the timeline. Gotcha.
We have PTSD. We have last few years we've had a lot of pitchers with injuries and going, if they come back. I mean, we've heard this for 5, 6, 7 years now. Let's just rock with the team we got for now. And if Kodai Senga is available for any game during the rest of this 2024 season,
any inning,
any pitch, one pitch, we should be celebrating. We should be through the roof because that means we're in it, and that means he's healthy, and that means he's pitching. Otherwise, I think we gotta not rely on him and look forward to him coming back right now because there is a probably more than good chance that he doesn't come back this season.
High chance, probably. It's probably 7 out of 10 chance he does not come back this season. But I do think there is still something to what Evan was saying that the 30% chance he does come back, maxed with the 30% chance that we even reach the playoffs. I don't know. I'm not a probability guy, but that probably gives us 10% chance of both those things happening. Senga Manaea to start the playoff series. It's not as bad as it felt a few months ago. That again, you can fuck around a wild card series and mess somebody up with that. I'll tangle with the Brewers with those two guys at the top.
Oh, all day. I'll tangle all day with them.
Now we got a few more. We have 3 more in here. We have more requests coming in, but we got Beck, Quinton, and Joe for sure coming on. So Beck first.
Biggest takeaway from this series: Francisco Lindor MVP over Shohei Ohtani. I don't care about any of that Shohei Ohtani making history and everything, because Lindor is out there playing MVP baseball every single day on both sides of the ball. Listen, Ohtani's focusing on only batting. If Lindor was a switch hitter DH, bro, he'd be having like a 50-50 season. Nah, I'm playing, but for real though, Lindor MVP over Ohtani. Some of the highest WAR in baseball. He's fucking elite at defense. That's all I got to say about this series is that Lindor is the MVP.
All right, Beck's a legend for that one.
I mean, it's a pretty good take. Like, he makes all the right points. He has the highest F4 in National League Baseball, 6.8. That is 0.3 higher than Ohtani and almost a full now point higher than Ellie De La Cruz. Oh, he's right. Ohtani doesn't play the field. Ohtani's been so damn good at the plate. There's no doubt he is a way better hitter than Francisco Lindor. And if he gets 50-50, there's no shot he doesn't win it. But if the MVP is truly the most valuable player to their team, I don't think there's been a player in the National League that has been more valuable than Francisco Lindor to the Mets.
Can I throw you a scenario?
You can. Throw it to me.
Pretend we live in a bizarro world.
Close my eyes.
Yeah. And Francisco Lindor having this exact season is on the Dodgers. And Shohei Ohtani having this exact season, one season right now, is on the Mets. How does that affect each of those teams? And if you're the Los Angeles Dodgers, bonus question, which season would you rather be having on your team with your roster?
Oh, okay. So Ohtani on the Mets.
Yes.
It's probably going to pick him there. Probably going to pick the guy having 50-50. I'm not going to lie, even if he's just the DH.
You don't think that right now the Dodgers had like a shortstop who's going to be 35-35 playing
so wait,
defense?
Are we taking Miguel Rojas and putting him at shortstop? Is that what we're doing too for the Mets then?
Theoretically, yeah. No, it's just switch. You're figuring out the rest of the rosters, but those two guys switch places.
Wow, that is a really hard question.
Wow. I'm saying, but it makes the debate kind of seem very realistic, where if the Dodgers had this shortstop playing at this level and they had to mix and match a DH, they could put Muncy there and they could figure out the rest of the fucking field. I don't think they're even down a game in the standings. They might be up a few, actually. And if you took Francisco Lindor off the Mets, even gave them Ohtani as right now the second best hitter in baseball, I think they're fucked because they don't have a fucking shortstop.
Yeah. Oh, man. This is complicated. That's a really fucked up question you asked me. I don't like that at all. It's going to eat away at me because
it's a good one.
I think there's arguments to both sides. I think you can make the argument that Ohtani did step up huge for them when Mookie Betts was out for a while. And Will Smith has not been having as good of a season as he's had in the past. Max Muncy's been hurt. They've had some injuries, but they are still the fucking Los Angeles Dodgers, and that team is literally an all-star roster.
Yes.
They've needed more help really realistically on the pitching side than the hitting side. Whereas the Mets, I mean, the numbers don't lie. He's been the most valuable player. You're right. If you take Francisco Lindor off this Mets team, there's almost nobody that would make a difference. Oh, it's all the American League guys. Juan Soto, Bobby Witt, Aaron Judge. Those guys would be in better places for sure. But in the National League, it's an argument. I don't know if I take the Mets are much worse with Lindor with Ohtani than Lindor, but I think that's the conversation in and of itself, is that they're both probably the same value to both of their teams right now. And that's the entire crux of this argument.
Totally. And I think that it's a situation for Lindor that kind of sucks, similar for Bobby Witt, where he's having this season at the same time another guy's doing something that's fucking crazy.
That's never been done.
That's what I'm saying. When the numbers are that obvious in your face, 60 homers, 50 stolen bases, it's hard. It's just hard for the writers not to do it. Like Jimmy Rollins stole the MVP from David Wright when he had the 9-win season, but that was because it wasn't obvious. It was 30-30, it was 310, Correct. It was 120. Like, it wasn't obvious. If they had WAR then, if we had real, it compares very favorably to players who've won the MVP before, but it just happens to be happening at the same time as something crazy is happening. So we're going to keep the Lindor MVP vibes going. I want to hear those chants all month at Citi Field, but at this point, it would be crazy if he has to do. He keeps doing crazy things, but he has to do something actually fucking batshit to do it.
Francisco Lindor has to hit 11 home runs in the month of September.
If
he hits 40 home runs and he has 30 stolen bases with 100 RBIs, he's going to win the MVP. 40 home runs gets him there.
Yeah, 40 home runs. A month ago we said 35. Probably needs 40 now. All right, we got two more here. Quentin and Joe.
Hey, Mark and James, big time or long time listener, and really appreciate what you guys do. My question for you, speaking of the whole Lindor MVP conversation, even though it looks like Shohei is going to end up taking it, my question for you is, with all the weird Lindor hate around, he's definitely a Hall of Famer. What ballot do you think? Do you think he ends up by the end of his career, he's a first ballot? Do you think he's a down ballot, second, third year kind of guy? Just curious as what you guys' thoughts are on that.
If Francisco Lindor keeps doing everything that he is doing right now, of course he's going to slow down as he gets older, but what's going to be great about Francisco Lindor is that he's going to play Gold Glove defense at second base
forever.
In his twilight years. He'll be the best second baseman defensively you've seen since Roberto Alomar. He's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's doing stuff that there's almost no shortstops in baseball I've ever done it. You're looking at, in terms of value, obviously defensively, Jeter not on the same level as him. Cal Ripken close, but not as close. There's just not a lot of shortstops that have been able to do things on both sides of the ball that he's doing. He will be a clear first ballot Hall of Famer. When you talk about the best shortstops, guys who changed how that position is played, Francisco Lindor's name is going to come up.
Yeah, he's had a more valuable career than guys like Jimmy Rollins and Nomar, who were like some of the better shortstops. Miguel Tejada of the last era, he's blowing them out of the water, and he's doing it with consistency. I do think that no matter what, because Lindor is not going to be a 500 home run guy. He's probably not going to be a 3,000 hits guy. He's not going to be a 300 career batting average guy, and he's not going to have 10 gold gloves because he only has, I think, 2 or 3 right now. So I think he still will be a Hall of Famer, but I think he's going to be the guy that grinds 4 or 5 years on the ballot, truthfully. Unless he wins a World Series with the Mets, holds a trophy, has a huge playoff run. Because if he has a moment, that changes the whole situation, because then he catapults himself past the stats, like guys like Derek Jeter did.
All right, let me ask you this.
What?
Francisco Lindor right now is at 243 home runs in his career. That's in 10 seasons, right? One of them being shortened because of COVID, and one of those seasons being his rookie year, 99 games. So he's a guy who's averaging about 25 home runs a year. He could hit 400 home runs. If he hits 400 home runs, it's a no doubt first ballot.
I think 400 is almost pretty good chance there's 400. I think 500 is the one that gets him no doubt first ballot.
500 is not happening. There's no shot.
There is a shot, because right now he's doing he's 31. He's doing the best things he's ever done in his career. He needs to do 4 more seasons at 35.
Maybe. All right.
That's what I'm saying.
We'll keep it in.
But
I don't think so. But yeah.
To me, he compares right now very much like Barry Larkin.
And Barry Larkin, I think, was a first ballot, by the way.
I'm almost positive he was not.
Barry Larkin? Barry Larkin's like a beast.
I think he was 3rd, 4th ballot. I'm pretty sure.
Really?
Check.
How do I check
memory
if they're first ballot or not?
I actually have no. Check what year he retired and what year they got in. Hold on.
So he retired in 2004, and he got in 2012.
Okay, so I'm saying he grinded a few years in that ballot.
Oh wait, I can find it now. Here we go. Let's see. You keep talking. I'm going to find it.
All right. So again, but I think that's where it's at. I think unless Lindor has a signature moment.
Third time for Larkin. Larkin only hit 198 home runs. Lindor's already got more than that.
Okay, but Larkin also was like a 70 WAR player pretty easily. And Lindor's at 50 right now. He's got a long way to go, but Larkin was awesome. Larkin was fucking great. But the difference was that Larkin never had that moment. Like there's a lot.
MVP.
He did win MVP. Yeah, he did win MVP. Yeah, so it's like that's the thing. Lindor either has to win like an MVP or 2. As of right now, Lindor's only been top 5 in MVP once. So to be first ballot, you have to either do that a few times, or you need the signature moment, or he has to do the 500 home runs. So I don't think he's going to be a first ballot guy. I think he gets in for sure, as long as things keep going for the next 5-6 years.
I mean, you are right. The Hall of Fame balloting is fakakta too, because Mike Piazza was like a 4th ballot guy, and he's the best hitting catcher of all time. So
I'm saying I'm too deep into this stuff. But that was Quentin, and now that we got the last voicemail of the day coming in from Joe.
All right, Joe.
What's up, guys? Been listening to the pod faithfully for the last 3 years. Always a great listen. Really good road trip. 7-3. Even we had those two bad losses, but still 7-3 is exactly what we needed to do. Took care of business this weekend in Chicago, even though we didn't even play our best ball. Still were able to get the sweep. And I think at this point, I can definitively say we are better than the Braves. We just have to find a way to beat them. We have the better lineup. They probably have the better pitching staff, but I think we do overall because of our lineup. We're healthier. I think we are the better team right now. And this is the year to beat them and to pass them and to make them sit on the couch in October and us in there. And we've got to find a way to get that 3rd spot, because I think Arizona and San Diego are probably locked in at this point. So it's going to come down to that 3rd spot, and we just have to play well enough to beat out Atlanta in this last month. And if we can get to the playoffs, I think we can cause some havoc.
I'll say this about the concept of the Padres and Diamondbacks being locked in. I'm sure a lot of listeners of the show are older than the age of like 14. So I'm sure most of them remember 2007. Like I remember 2007. None of these fucking leads are safe. We are 3 games behind the Padres in loss column right now and 4 behind the Diamondbacks. Nothing is safe. The Cubs are only 2 behind us. Like Eddie, there's a month of baseball. There's 30 fucking games. A lot of shit can still happen. I do agree that this is. I don't like the way. Who was? I want to give credit to the name.
Joe.
I don't like the way Joe phrased it, but he's right. This is the time to beat the Braves. But
yes,
I don't like beating the fucking AAA, the Gwinnett Stripers over there, even though I still want to. But it's more about it more be embarrassing if we can't get past them.
Yes,
that's how I feel about that kind of.
Let me tell you, if you could put the Braves pitching and the Mets hitting together this year, that team's winning a World Series. It's not even close.
Got a fucking team right there. You got a major one. But
their pitching has been unbelievable. And they brought back Tyler Matzik today. Did you see that?
Yeah, and Ronaldo Lopez, I don't know if anyone notices this, but he took a month and a half off, and he's come back throwing 99 miles an hour with pinpoint command. I think they are like, all right, so instead of taking off at the end of the year, let's take off in the middle of the year. Yeah, they're just
voodoo.
Fuck them. I hate them so much. But I think any of these teams can be passed. I think also the Cubs getting hot. They've won 9 of 10 games, 6 in a row. Their offense has woken up for the first time all fucking season. There's a lot that can happen, but again, anything can happen in any direction here, truthfully.
Yeah, let me tell you, if we are the reason the Braves do not make the playoffs and we get in, I'm going to be intolerable. I am going to be going crazy. It's going to be a lot of fun, and hopefully we get to see that happen because we know I will act like an idiot on the internet for much less things, so I'm cool with that.
Yeah, so I think that's all we got for voicemails. We got Frankie Peppers at the end. Don't worry, guys. We're gonna have the regular Frankie Peppers. He sent me one in. This is how we discovered Frankie Peppers. So if we might be trying to find our next star over here. But that was all we got. Yeah, double checking. Yeah, it's all the voicemails we got. So thank you guys for all those voicemails. We're gonna try and do those probably like once a month. I don't know. Keep you guys involved. But now I didn't really find a good media marvel this week. We did voicemail instead of that.
Yeah, let's talk about the Red Sox.
Time to preview the Red Sox series. The Red Sox aren't bad at all.
Correct.
They're fine. They're a fine baseball team. That's very weird, is how I'll describe them.
They're kind of the Mets of the American League right now.
Kind of. They've had a bad second half, a worse second half than a first half. They're falling a little bit out of the wild card race because the AL wild card race is a little more obvious because it's just whoever's going to lose the AL East and whoever's going to lose the AL Central are firmly ahead of the Red Sox, the Mariners, and weirdly, the Tigers have put themselves in this mix somehow. Shout out them. But Red Sox are a weird team. So pitching matchups this series, 3 7 to 7 o'clock games. 7 o'clock on Labor Day, bizarre. I don't remember that ever happening. And then Tuesday night, Wednesday night, all 7:10 at Citi Field. Hope to see you guys there for some of those. Luis Severino versus Brian Bayo. And then Tuesday, Ace-Off, David Peterson versus Carter Crawford. And then Wednesday, I think this is subject to change because it'll put McGill on regular rest, but then put him ahead of Quintana. But as of right now, either McGill or Quintana versus Tanner Houck.
Okay. Those are matchups. I mean, listen, before we talk about the pitching side, the big thing with the Red Sox, I feel like, is their offense because obviously they've been able to hit really well. Rafael Devers, maybe one of the most underrated hitters in all of baseball. The guy just every single year, 30 home runs, 30 doubles, 100 RBIs. His OPS is 923. This guy gets no love from national media, no love from anybody it feels like outside of Red Sox world. Really, really fucking good hitter at the plate. And then Jarren Duran, got to talk about him too. Not about him being a little homophobic. That was bad. Not good. Don't use that word. But as a baseball player, so damn good. Oh my God, he's so fucking good. 21 homers, 44 doubles, 13 triples, 69 RBIs, nice, 32 stolen bases, and 885 OPS. He's having a phenomenal year. He actually has more WAR than Francisco Lindor. The guy, if he was in the different leagues, winning the MVP.
No, he's kind of come out of nowhere to do this too. Not nowhere, but he's having the best. Yeah, Mark was big on Jarren Duran. Once he made that swing change, it got me hip to him too. Same with Rates and Barrels podcast. Eno and DVR used to shout him out a lot. But 27 years old, in his prime, he's playing elite defense center field too, which is something that was always a big question for him. But he's found a way to do that. I think he's played a lot of corner as well. But overall, defensive metrics are amazing. Him and Devers are carrying that team right now to heights I don't think a lot of people, when they saw that roster at the beginning of the year, thought they could have ever reached, and including Wilyer Abreu, who's in the Rookie of the Year race in the AL. He's a great ball player. Tristan Casas is back from one of the strangest injuries that we've ever seen in baseball.
Weird.
Something that I think is interesting. Not interesting. Something's kind of sad. As we get more and more data, more and more information, more and more science, these players keep getting bigger, stronger, faster, just more force inside their bodies. Casas broke a rib just on a swing. And the doctor or the trainer, whoever was interviewed after, said that the swing created the same torque and force inside his body as a car crash to break his rib. That's how hard he swung. That's how much he twisted in his trunk there. So that's a weird thing, especially now that we're tracking things like swing speed. I know the teams are a lot more than now we've gotten that stuff on Baseball Savant, but just other things to keep an eye on, how we, as the modern age of athletics, pushes the human body to literally the furthest heights it's ever been pushed. But he's a good player. Rob Refsnyder's just hitting in the middle of that lineup. Masataka Yoshida's been blazing hot in the second half, but he will never play the field, so that's something to keep an eye on. Instead of Masataka Yoshida, Connor Wong has been playing the outfield for them, which is it's insane that he'll play the outfield over Masataka Yoshida. But Romy Gonzalez, Nick Sogard, they just cut Dom Smith. Would have been nice for Dom to come to Citi Field, but interesting Red Sox team for sure.
Yeah, this team is going to run as well. Jarren Duran steals a bunch of bases. Ceddanne Rafaela steals a bunch of bases. I think David Hamilton, is hurt right now. I don't know if he'll be back or not.
Now he's out.
Okay, but he stole a ton. They run. They're a very aggressive team. They try to steal runs off of you. They try to make you make plays. And this dude, Mickey Gasper, I know he doesn't have a hit. He's up on the team right now. Check the stash on Mickey Gasper. It's a solid mustache.
Yeah. And also, that's an all-time baseball name, Mickey Gasper. But issue with this Red Sox team, by far and away, bullpen fucking sucks. It is horrible. They've blown, I think, the most saves in baseball besides like the really bad teams, White Sox and stuff.
Which is funny because their ERAs are not crazy bad at all. The Mets definitely have worse ERAs.
As a full team, I mean, because the Red Sox will have a guy get blown up and get them out of there.
Yeah,
so if you look at the active guys' ERAs, it's not going to look that. But also, Kenley Jansen's having another amazing season and his path to the Hall of Fame as a closer.
Yeah, because I'm looking at it right now, and the worst one's Josh Winkowski, technically former Met Josh Winkowski. Never forget, traded for Steven Metz. I think he came with the Steven Metz trade. I don't know. And then
maybe with Reed
He was one of those trades that offseason. Justin Slayton, technically former Met. Former Met.
That was a fuck up.
Yeah, that was a mess up because he is absolutely nasty. But like Chris Martin, Brendan Bernardino, Greg Weissert, who you still like Greg Weissert?
He's weird, but I don't love him.
Okay, Zach Kelly, and you mentioned Kenley Jansen. It's a bizarre bullpen.
Oh, you missed one guy.
Rich Hill.
Dick Mountain.
Dick Mountain's back, 44 years old. He is significantly older than his pitching coach.
We have to get Rich Hill a tribute series on the board. Hopefully people are listening and do that, because people listen to the show sometimes and do things after it. So maybe they're going to listen and be like, yeah, let's get Rich Hill on the scoreboard. If anyone's scoreboard people are listening. But Rich Hill's hilarious. He is 7 years older than Andrew Bailey as his pitching coach. But I'll talk about Red Sox pitching for a little bit. Andrew Bailey's come to that team. He's doing something that I think is really cool, but also something that is now kind of flipping back on them and not working as well, where he's told the big guys in the staff, who are Pavetta, Cutter Crawford, Brian Bayo, and Tanner Houck, three of those guys we will see this series, basically, fuck your fastball. We're going to pitch backwards. Like Bayo, his best pitches are his slider and his changeup. Throw those more. Cutter Crawford, it's his color and his curveball. Throw those more. Tanner Houck, it's his sweeper. Throw that more. So against the batters where those pitches make the most sense, they're leading on those pitches instead of throwing fastballs. And early in the year, that helped the Red Sox starting rotation to be one of the most effective in all of baseball. Over the last month and a half, 6 weeks, as teams have been studying this more and preparing more, teams have now been sitting on those secondary pitches. Tanner Houck and Crawford are two guys who have gotten hit much harder than they have in the first half recently. Houck just had a really good start, and Crawford's righted the ship a little bit of late. But it's interesting, this yin and yang, that the Red Sox are playing with the league and how the league's playing back with them, and how it's a cool phase of like league-wide pitching development. I've liked watching it unfold this season.
Yeah, listen, the Red Sox
lowest rate of fastballs in the league for starting rotation, the Boston Red Sox.
This is a very gettable team for sure this week at Citi Field. Tanner Houck's their big guy who's having their best year in terms of pitching, 3.12 ERA. He's going to be in the Cy Young conversation, not as strong as he was a couple weeks ago, but definitely up there in the American League. Just guys that are going to get votes, kind of like a Sean Manaea type thing. Good team, got to beat them. Got to beat them. These games are so important. We're at the point where we're going to start to look at who the other teams are also playing in their next series too, and just briefly mention that. The Padres got the Tigers. The Diamondbacks have... who do they have after this? Because we know that their schedule gets tough. And then I'll look up the Braves.
The Diamondbacks are going to San Francisco for 3 games, and they're going to Houston.
Okay, so those are six tough games right there where it's not the White Sox. The Braves, fuckers, they get the Rockies, those bastards.
At home, yeah, they do. Those bad. But then also the Diamondbacks then home versus the Rangers, and then 6 with the Brewers, 3 in Denver to face the Rockies, and then 4 in Milwaukee. So they have 7 games against the Brewers, so still on the schedule. We're a good team playing really good baseball. Interesting. It's coming down to it. It's kind of interesting.
The Braves go Rockies, Blue Jays, then 1 game against the Reds, 2 against the Nationals, then back home against the Dodgers. What a weird schedule they have too. They end the year with the Royals. Oh my God, I'm gonna be rooting for the Royals so hard.
You got everything on the line.
So that's like literally the Mets and the Royals season. Are you kidding me? I'm going to have money on the line for that. Oh,
those are your 2 teams. But I don't know, guys. Just stay on top of it. We're staying hot. Just win our games. Keep scoreboard watching. Hopefully things work out. Maybe the Cubs stop scoring 10 runs a night. I'd like that, truthfully. Yeah, but also shout out football. We had football Saturday. It was nice. It was a nice day of watching football all day on Saturday. I loved that a lot.
2-0 on the podcast. Our teams didn't lose.
Yeah, shout out Old Dominion Akron.
Don't worry about what the South Carolina football game looked like. Just know they won. Shout out Lenora Sellers.
All right, but I think that's all we got. All you got?
That's all we got, guys. Make sure you follow us on our social media at Mets'd on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Subscribe to the Mets'd podcast YouTube channel so you can see the video version of this. And if you like what you're listening to, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download and subscribe. Follow James on Twitter at
James_Shiano.
I'm Draftnik Mark with a C. And where's Frankie Peppers? We got to give them Frankie Peppers.
I forgot about Frankie. Sorry, Frankie. Everyone hang on for Frankie.
No one's leaving until they hear Frankie Peppers.
My Instagram is loud as hell.
Frankie, super loud.
He got here directly after the game. 4:39 he left this. Ready to go.
He's awesome.
Gentlemen, Frankie Peppers, how you doing? Can't say too much about this series. They did what they needed to do. Swept the White Sox in and out, 9 above 500, beautiful stuff. Mania pitching 7 gorgeous innings of baseball. Pete hitting 30 big balls on the year. Francisco Lindor continuing to be the MVP. I think, what's the word? The GOAT. He is him, GOAT, and MVP all at once. I don't know how you can be that many things, but you know what? He is all of those and more. By the way, I didn't forget about the dinners you asked me to make, bolognese and sausage and peppers. I'm up in Syracuse, New York for the weekend. Got family up here, so, really can't make dinner when I'm not at my house. But I will do those this week. We'll have some nice dinner together. Don't you worry. All right, boys, I will talk to you soon. Let's go, Mets. Keep on winning, baby.
Frankie Pepper sending us home. Nothing better.
Let's go, Mets. LFGM. Thank you guys for listening and watching, and we'll catch you after the Red Sox series. Peace out.
Peace out. See you guys last time. Let's fucking go, Mets.